Hi, Alex here from Redeveloper.com and welcome to the second part of LBTAComponents data source UI collection view manager. Well, it is an easier way to use UI collection views, and today I'm going to add a filter and a header to our collection view. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. As you can see in the previous episode, we have added all of these cells, but now we are going to add this footer. But first of all, we are going to add this header here. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, inside our user profile data source controller, we want to create a new, well, first of all, let us just create our users. So I just go down here and find where post is, and let's create a new struct here. And let's name this user. Okay. And the user will have, let's see, and that will be of type string again, and a post count. So post count, and that will be of type integer. So let's create our initializer here. Okay, and that will be of type integer. And now let's add our and self.postCount equals postCount. Okay, now we have our user. Next up is that we need to add this user into our data source. So let's create here our user, and it will be of type user, and let it be an optional. Okay, now when we fetch, we don't, I believe we need to add this. Okay, now when we fetch our post, we want to fetch our user too. So before we reload our collection view, let us type in here, and I will just create a new function here, fetch current user. Okay, now here we are not fetching, we are actually creating our users. So, and I will construct it with our name. The name, well, should be Alex, nag, and user image name, it should be profile pic, as the profile pic is the name of my profile picture here that I have added in a previous video. And post count, where for now let's add, let's say 23. And now we need to set our user to our, well, this user. Let me just type this out and I will show you. We need to add this user to the user that we have created up here. So we are fetching our current user, and I will just rename this fetch post to. Now that we have that, let us just create our header. So for that, I will just go down here and let's add here cell header classes. That is what I am looking for. And to add our header classes array, well, we are going to add only one header class. We are going to create a new data source cell for our header. So let us just go down here, and I will just create a new class, and I will name this. Okay, and it will be of type data source cell. Okay, of course we need to have here our setup views. Yes, I believe that is it. And let's add here super setup views. Okay, since we already have our header, well, our type of header set up in our view controller in the previous video, so I will just simply copy all of this out. Okay, I will grab these labels and my image view and paste it into our data source here. And what do I need next? Well, we need to add our subviews. Just simply copy out these and of course into our setup views, and then I need to anchor them appropriately, and I really like the one that I have created in the previous video. So I will just simply replace view with self. Okay, let me just go through all of this. Okay, that seems to be okay. Now, what else do we have here? Yeah, we still, if we want to build and run, and I will just build and run again here, you will not see any of the header, and that is because we need to add a reference size for our header, and for that we will do that in our Datasource Controller. Let's just scroll back all the way down, and I will just type in reference size for header in section. And for that, I believe, let me just take a little sneak peek what I have added for the width and height. Yep, that is correct. I will just, let me just minimize this and let me show you what we will return. It will be a CG size, and we will select with a width, and the width of course is our views.frame.width, and the height will be 16. That is the padding of our profile picture. 60, that is the whole height of our profile image, and then 16 again for the bottom padding, and that should be okay. Now let us just build and run and see how this looks. Now we don't see anything besides this default, this is your default header label, because we haven't added our header class inside our header classes function. So let's add it here and now, and it will be let me just go down here, and it will be user profile header data source cell. Okay, that will be, and let's append as .self to it. Now let us just delete these default values of my image and our text label and our post labels text. Okay, and now let us just build and run and see what do we get there. I believe we should get only our default, well, not any colors. Let me just add here some background colors. So, and I will add here our name labels. Okay, and the same goes light for our post label. Okay, now let's see how what do we get here. Okay, I believe that because we don't have any labels set up here, then we don't get our labels background color here added. But now we need to add the actual data from our user. So what we need to do here is go ahead and let's just delete these background colors for now. Profile image view, name label and post label, and let us just add in our I believe it is the data source. Yes, it is under the header classes. Let's override our item, and here it is, our header item, and we will return here our user. Okay, the user that we have created here. And next up, let's just scroll down to the data source cell. And here we have our image view. Yep, we need to override here our data source item. And let's type in did set here. And that is why we didn't get those backgrounds. And let us guard create our user. So guard. And this will be a user, and the user will be from our data source item, and we will cast this out as our user, and as we will return. Now that we have our user, let's set our profile image views image. So profile image view dot image equals, let's construct our UI image here, and it will be named, and let's fetch our image name by typing in user dot user image name. Okay, next up let us just build and run here, and let's see if we did actually get my image name correct. Okay, there it is. Next up, we need to add our name label and post label. So for that, let's type in a name label dot text equals, again, user dot user name, and likewise post label dot text equals user dot and post count, and we need to add this as a string, so let us just use this here. Okay, looks pretty fine, so let us just build and run and see those two labels being rendered out. And there it is, Alex Nagy and 24. I will just change here, and I will type in here again posts. And now you see that I have only 23 posts, so let's fix that, and let's find out where we are adding our post, and this is here in our post counts when we create our user. So now we need to fetch our posts count. So I will just I do have access to the post counts here, so I just simply type in here posts dot count. Let us just build and run again, and let's see how that goes. And it has been updated to 17 posts. Pretty good stuff. Okay, next up we want to add our footer, and we want to add my username and a copyright symbol and maybe the year 2018. Okay, and for that let us just create a user profile footer data source cell. So let's just scroll down and let's create a new class, and it will be named user profile footer data source cell, and it will be of type data source cell. So let's add here setup views, super.setup views. And what else do we need? Let us just take a look at our header data source cell, and of course we are going to add a simple label, so I will just copy out maybe this post label and add this before our setup views. I will name this copyright label, and that should be it. Well, maybe I will just center this label, so label dot text alignment, and it will be center. And now let's add this in our setup views function. So add subview and copyright label. And now let's fill up this super view with our copyright label. So copyright label dot fill super view. Pretty good. Now, what else do we need? First of all, let's add in our Datasource Controller. Let's just scroll all the way up and let's add our height. And for that, we need to use the reference size for footer in section. So ref size footer, and this is it. And we will return, let's say, a CG size, and the width will be our views dot frame dot width as usual, and a height, let it be of 20 pixels. Okay, I believe we are nearly ready. All we need to do is add our overridden functions in our data source, and those are two of them. The first one is our footer classes, and we will return here an array, but we are going to use only one, and that is our user profile footer data source cell, and of course we append a dot self here. And the other one is our footer item, and we will feed here our user again because we need our name label. So inside our, let's just scroll down to our footer data source cell. Let's type in our data source item and did set. This is plain obvious for you by now, and we are going to again guard let and catch our user here. It will be of the data source item as our user, and else we will return out of this. Just return, and now we are ready to add our copyright label text. So copyright label dot text equals to, and we will use here, let's say, first of all, I will print out my user's username, user dot username. I believe that is what I want. Let's just jump to our definition. Yes, it is our username, and I hope I am typing this correct. User. Let's just build and run and see if we do get any errors. Guard let username with a capital N. That is correct. And now the copyright symbol. Use Alt G and the year 2018, and that should take care of it. And now let's build and run and see if we actually did set up everything as we should have been. Okay, there we have our header, and now here is our footer. Pretty good stuff. Okay, one last thing that I will do in this episode is, well, this is a very huge file and it has a lot of classes, so I will just refactor this. So for I will use and let our data source controller inside our user profile data source controller. Then just scroll down, and here we have our data source. So I will create a user profile data source here. Let's just right click, new file, a Swift file, and let's click on next. Type in user profile data source, and let's just create that, and I will import LBTAComponents, and now I will just simply copy out my user profile data source, and here it is. And just cut that out and go back to our user profile data source and paste that in here. Okay, that looks just fine. Next up is our cells, and I will just create one Swift file for the cells. You could create a separate file for the profile data source cells, header cell, and the footer cell. I will just make them under one umbrella file. So here we go, Swift file, and I will just type in here user. I just create that here, and I will just copy my data source cell, so the user profile data source cell, the header data source cell, and the footer data source cell. Let me just scroll down real slowly here so I may get only those. Let's cut those out and add them here. Of course, first of all, we need to import LBTAComponents. Okay, and let's paste that in there. And what is next? Well, we have our models here, so I just create a new file again. Let's create a new file, Swift file, next, and type in here models. Let's create that, and let's go here and copy all these two posts. Well, let's just cut them out and add them here. And now let us just build first, so we may see that it has succeeded. Good stuff. And as you can see, all we have left here is our data source controller. Let's build and run again and see if everything worked as it should have been. And yes, it did. Everything is working fine. So once again, for a recap, here we have our data source controller. We have our, let me just move this all the way down. We have our data source, where we fetch all our current user and our posts, and we set our header classes and all of the items for all of the classes. And finally, we have our cells, the normal cell, the header cell, and the footer data source cell. And of course, here we have our models, our post, and our user. Finally, we have our large image controller. Okay, pretty good stuff. In the next video, we are going to load all of these images from let's say a web server, well, basically not from our device, and we will do that pretty easily. I hope you enjoyed this video, and we will do that in the next video. So if you did like this one, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel, of course, and maybe visit our site redeveloper.com or hire us for these kind of awesome tutorials and maybe some custom work if you would like. We have a lot of satisfied clients, and as usual, I will see you in the next one.